I am often asked about calculating back pay. It seems Department of Labor has been very busy doing audits and so forth all across the country on rehabilitation facilities, and it often comes up that they have an objection or they challenge what you set as a prevailing wage. So I'd like to use that as an example of a feature that is not well known inside the time card module. And that feature is that under the Special Reports menu, under Time Card History Summary, every time you run this report, it creates a CSV file in the background. It's just built in. It's a feature I hid, you might say I hid it in the program. And it's a way of exporting data. And it does it every time. The important thing to realize is that that file, it's going to be called HISSUM, that's HISSUM dot CSV. And that file will always replace the last file from the last time you ran this. So it doesn't keep accumulating files, it just replaces it. So if you run a report and 30 seconds later someone else runs a report, they're going to replace your file. So you have to know that and go get your data before it gets replaced. But the bottom line is that when you come into this file and you pick something, so let's say we're dealing with a back pay situation, you might have to pick a start date then and an ending date. Now, for my illustrations, I'm just going to use an ending date, but you would put specific dates in here. And you would want this detail by employee, and we can take all the data. So you would queue up this report, Time Card History Summary. You would pick the specific dates that you are liable for the back pay. And then I'm going to do a print preview of this report because I don't have to print anything out. It's going to create that HISSUM file no matter what I do. And this is an example. Now here I've got very little data in this particular sample, but I did save an old copy of some data that I've got some files. So for you to know, that creates the HISSUM file, and now you need to find that file in your data folder. Now, in my particular case, I have it in the OSAS 761 VP data. Now, for many installations, I can't tell you specific, I can't record here what the answer to that is because it varies from network to network, site to site. Oftentimes it's on the O drive, and it would be in the OSAS folder, that's where your live data is, and then it would be in the data folder itself. So I've navigated to that data folder, and here is that HISSUM CSV file that was created. And I'll come to open up that file, and it brings up the data that was exported. And you could correlate this with what you see on the printed page, because you'd see on a printed page that this was the employee ID, the operation ID, the description of the operation, the ending date of the data, and so forth. Now, what I'm going to do actually is I want to pretty this up a little bit, so I'm going to select that first row, and I'm going to insert so that I can actually put some headings in there. So let me put the headings in there. This is the hours. This is the pieces. This is the additional benefit, which not too many people use, but some do. This is the earnings column. And this is the percent of norm that was calculated on that line. But here's the advantage to us. What this column is, that's the prevailing, the P wage category. And then this is the prevailing wage. And what I'm going to add is a column for back pay. Let me give myself a little more room here. And some of these numeric columns, I'll do a multiple select, the earnings, and then I'm going to control click on the prevailing wage and control click. So I multiple select, and I'm going to right click and format the cells, and I want to make that a number with 2 decimal places. So that just pretties it up a little bit. All right, so now I've got headings, and I also like a feature that allows me to do a pull down, a selection there. So I'm going to highlight the top row, and I'm going to come down to sort and filters, and I'm going to add the filters. And boy, I like that feature in Excel, to where now if I wanted to filter this, I could actually pick just one employee or multiple employees, or of course all employees, or if I wanted one operation or all operations, so that's a real nice feature. In this particular case, what I'm going to want to do is select on the prevailing wage category, because Department of Labor came back and told me, oh, you know what, that category number 1 was wrong. Instead of $7.50 that you paid at, you should have been paying at $8.10. I'm just making that up, so that's a for instance. So I'm going to do a sort there, and I'm going to say just give me prevailing wage category 1. So I get all the work for prevailing wage category 1 that was done at $7.50. Now, the way you calculate the back pay then is if you take the difference between the 2 prevailing wages. So $8.10 minus $7.50 gives me 60 cents. Just using basic algebra then, I now know that if I take 60 cents divided by 750, that happens to work out to an exact 8% increase. And again, that's just simple algebra. 60 cents, so you take the difference, you divide it by the original prevailing wage, and you come up with the percent that it should have changed. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to add a formula here, and I'm going to make that, I want the earnings, so it's H5 times 0.08. So now I know what the back pay should be on that particular transaction. And I can select the second one that's on my list, and I can scroll down to the end, and I can do a shift select, which then selects the whole column, and then I can do a paste. Whoops, you know what I didn't do? Let me back up. I don't have a paste option because I did not do a copy. So what I want to do is first I want to right click and I want to do a copy. So that copies that cell. Then I can do a select and then my multiple select. So that's my shift click. Now I can right click and I can do a paste and I can paste the formula. So what that then did for me was it duplicated that formula all the way throughout. So there, I've got my back pay calculated. Of course, I want to make this even a little bit prettier because I want subtotals. So what I'm going to do is go to the Data tab, and then I'm going to go to my, I'm going to select the whole sheet. So that's in the corner. So I do a select. I could do Control A. That also selects the whole sheet. And then when I go to subtotal, I can say, so I'm on the Data tab now. I came off of the Home tab. And Employee ID, I want to do a sum. And, you know, I'm really interested in the earnings. Just for the heck of it, I could do pieces if I wanted. And, but most importantly, I could also do hours. That's just interesting. But most importantly, I want the back pay. And I click OK. And so now what I have is an audit trail showing for that time that I selected, this is what they worked on. This is everything at that prevailing wage, and this back pay is calculated at 8%. And so these total lines that are on my report are the lines, that's what I would enter as a back pay for that employee. So that's a nice feature. This highlights a lot of things people could get. Once you realize what this does, you can experiment a lot. Some people use this every month. They export a month's worth of data into a sheet like this, and you could build your own database over years of data that came out of time cards. Of course, the time card system itself keeps that data as long as you want it and does a lot of reports for you. So many people don't have any extra need for that. But those who are interested, you could do that. Someone who also wanted to get creative, they could also export the employee list that has the employees' names associated with the IDs, and you could do a lookup field and insert names if you wanted to. So there's a lot of creative things you can do with Excel. But this basic thing is very helpful when you're stuck by an audit that you have to do back pay. This allows you to easily select that. And again, you've got different categories. You could do the same thing. If a different category also needed to be changed, you could calculate the back pay for that category. It would be a fortuitous chance that the two prevailing wages changed by the same percentage. That's not really likely, but it's possible. So there's a lot of flexibility there. So I wanted to give you that idea and know about that HIS sum CSV file that's created every time that you run that report. That's valuable data, particularly helpful when you have to pay back pay. When you are all done with making your changes, and we're in a good shape here, you want to do a file and a save as. And when you do a save as, you can pick where you want to put that. And here I can do, the most important thing about saving the file is you want to save it as an Excel workbook. You don't want to save, you'll lose all the special features that you did, that you added if you save it back as a CSV. So you want to do, you could call it, back pay for category 1. And that will save it. So the important thing when saving the file, save it as a workbook. Don't save it as a CSV.